Darren. It really likes you.
Affirmative. Here, kitty, 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 kitty.
The completely controller-free Kinect for the Xbox 360 is an attempt by Microsoft to beat out Nintendo and Sony in the motion gaming stakes. But waggle stick or not, it all comes down to the game. So, first up, Kinect Adventures.
Hex, before we begin, we should warn the nooblings that the Kinect seems to require a lot of play space in front of your TV to work properly. The camera scans your room, just like I scan for noobs, to figure out where you will need to stand. The optimum standing distance from your TV is between 1.5 to 2 metres for a single player to a whopping 3 metres for 2 players.
Yeah, it requires a lot more room to work than we were expecting. The Den of Gaming was only just big enough, so you'll definitely want to check out your living space before you go and get one of these.
Affirmative. Now, you may continue.
Thanks, Darren. Kinect Adventures is the only game that comes with the Kinect, and it's a compilation of 5 mini-games that'll have you jumping, waving your arms about, and ducking and weaving, all in the quest for pins, which is the equivalent of points in Kinect Adventures.
Of the 5 games, 2 stood out to me as being really good fun and showing off how responsive the Kinect is. River Rush puts you on an inflatable raft hurtling down a river. You can steer by stepping left and right and jump to launch the boat in the air. The goal of the game is to get as many pins as possible before reaching the end of the river. Then there's Reflex Ridge, which is similar to River Rush, but you're on rails instead of a river, and to earn pins you have to dodge obstacles. There's a little bit of lag for both, isn't there? But you actually forget about that once you get into it.
I had a bit of a problem with the ducking bits.
I noticed that, Darren. It's because you don't have knees. 2 of the other games aren't nearly as memorable, 20,000 Leagues and Space Pop. 20,000 Leagues challenges you to plug leaks in an underwater tank, and in Space Pop you have to flap your arms to fly while popping as many bubbles as you can before a timer runs out.
The final minigame, Rally Ball, is like a 3D version of Breakout. You use your body as a paddle to bounce balls into bricks and targets. It's a pretty good example of how well the Kinect can track your whole body, but the noticeable lag makes it a little difficult. Overall, I think Kinect Adventures is a good example of what the Kinect is capable of. It's just a shame there aren't more minigames. I'm giving it 6.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, it's a bit of multiplayer fun. I'm giving it 6 out of 10 rubber chickens. Next up, Joyride. It's a racing game, and it would be a lot more fun with a controller, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Kinect controls feel totally tacked on to a pretty average kart game. You hold your arms out to steer, but it just doesn't feel right. Plus, all the braking and accelerating is done for you, which is really boring.
It's a game for noobs.
I agree with you, Darren. I'm giving it 5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
I think you can have some fun pretending to drive, but I don't want to have to pretend to have fun as well, so I'm giving it 4.
Next up, what motion controlling device would be complete without a sports minigame compilation? Enter the shameless Wii Sports clone, Kinect Sports.
Well, I'll step aside now for you as you go live to Tornado Gardens.
My rotors needed a bit of an oiling for this. They're not quite used to this amount of rapid movement.
There are 6 sports to play here: boxing, table tennis, track and field, soccer, beach volleyball, and the always popular bowling.
I thought they all worked pretty well, except for the boxing. It's a bit weird just punching the air and not getting any feedback, you know. I just felt a little bit silly and it wasn't quite responsive enough.
Yeah, the boxing was lame, but I was surprised how responsive the table tennis was. It was great at detecting how much power and spin I was trying to put into my shots. Same with the bowling. Little differences in how I bowled translated into noticeable spin and power differences.
The soccer game was the worst, I thought. I would almost rather go outside to the actual outside world and kick a real soccer ball. Almost, but not quite.
Overall, it's a pretty solid collection though, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's presented well with lots of great licensed music. I'm giving it 7 out of 10 rubber chickens.
It's pretty much what you want from a sports compilation, with the added bonus of no one being able to cheat by just wangling a Wiimote. I'm giving it 7 out of 10 rubber chickens. Next up, it's time for Darren to get his moves on. Are you ready, Darren? It's Dance Central.
Affirmative. I've got to wiggle it just a little bit.
Yes, from the creators of Rock Band and Guitar Hero Harmonix comes a dance game, and it's a doozy. Now, dance games of yesteryear have always been relegated to floor mats and waggling Wiimotes, but with Dance Central you have to really step up because it's watching everything you do.
Basically, there's a dancer on screen and you have to mimic their moves like you're looking into a mirror. If you're doing the routine right, you'll see the circle on your feet glow green and say great or flawless. If you're doing it wrong, the game will highlight whichever body part is out of position in red and use some not so kind words to describe your performance.
True potential must be nurtured. A true champion must face his flaws.
Yes, you got quite used to hearing those words, didn't you?
Oh, you mean me? Yes, I did. There are 32 songs to play through, and you'll need to play them through all on easy first before you can unlock the harder modes. Each song has a tailor-made dance routine, so it will take you a while to master them all.
There's a break it down mode which acts as your tutorial, taking you through all the moves in a song's routine step by step, even allowing you to slow down the moves until you get them right, which is more or less essential to do for every song if you want to stand any chance of doing well. Although I didn't like that if you fail a move 3 times, it just moves on. I mean, you'd think if I'm doing badly at something, I'd need to practice it a little bit more.
I think this game will be really good with the dance battles at parties, you know. They're quite simple, but really great fun. And, you know, just generally, I think it's a step forward for dancing games and the best launch game for the Kinect. You don't need a mat and you don't need to hold a Wiimote. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, you know what? I really enjoyed it as well. I'm going to give it 8 too.
And finally, a game that lets me sit down for a bit, even if it was just to watch the cutscenes, Kinectimals.
Yeah, this is a bit like a more evolved version of iPet or Nintendogs, in which you explore a tropical island with a wildcat cub as a pet. Barjo, how cute are these little kitties?
They're very cute, I have to admit. The graphics are just gorgeous. You can see their fur swish around as they stumble about, hear their affectionate purring, and they'll come up close to the screen and lick it. If you're an animal lover, you will instantly be won over.
The Kinect lets you reach out and give them a good scratch, brush them down, feed them treats, make them fetch balls, and learn a whole stack of tricks such as rolling over, jumping, and standing on one leg, amongst others. Of course, the only way to teach them is to perform the tricks yourself.
Yes, just when I thought I could sit down for a bit, I was made to roll on the floor. But it is very responsive. You get that instant feedback, so it's quite enjoyable. My first complaint would be, though, that I felt like I was being the one that was being trained, you know? It kept popping up with these tasks for me to do, like knock down a bunch of blocks with a ball while my animal just chilled out in the background. Just let me train my pet.
Yeah, plus the pet has a bit of a short attention span. You'll start instructing it to do something and then it'll run off screen to grab a toy as a suggestion for what you should do next. But having said that, it also means you're never short of things to do, from making your pet dig up treasure items to decorating your little island hut home.
I think this is firmly aimed at younger gamers, Hex. You know, there's a lot of life and energy to this, though, much more than something like iPad. So I was okay with all the sparkle. I'm giving it 7 out of 10 rubber chickens.
There's a lot of stuff in here that's not really to do with interacting with your pet, but when it does let you play with the kitty, it's really adorable, so I'm giving it 7.5.
Did you have a good time playing with the kitty, Darren?
Oh, affirmative. I think I've made a friend for life.